learn. Every dirty, asinine trick that they pull is backfiring. Sometimes I really think they are deliberately trying to sabotage the upcoming election to make themselves look bad. This is Tyrone Bowman Live. So let's get down to this. According to the headline in AXIOS, House GOP, or the Grand Old Party, now the party of Trump, the MAGA party, subpoenas Tim Walz in a scramble to probe Democratic presidential ticket. Well, this is sure to fire some of y'all up, so let's just get right down to it. A Republican-led House committee on Wednesday issued a subpoena of Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, the Democratic nominee for vice president. The maneuver is part of a flurry of new House GOP probes targeting both Walz and his running mate, Vice President Harris. Some Republicans worry the investigations will backfire politically and make Walz and Harris look like martyrs. You think? You think this is a smart, calculated move? You keep coming up with phony investigation after phony investigation. You've tried several times to impeach Biden and it hasn't worked. Now you get the grand old dumb idea that you want to target Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and probe the Democratic ticket because you think somehow it's going to cause Trump to win the election. All you're doing is firing up the Democratic base, stupid. But y'all don't think because you think you're smarter than everybody else in the room. House Education and Workforce Committee Chair Virginia Foxx, a Republican from North Carolina, is trying to compel Walz to turn over documents related to his handling of what federal prosecutors have called a brazen $250 million fraud scheme targeting taxpayer-funded child meal programs. Republicans don't give a damn about children nor the meal programs. Wasn't it President Reagan who stopped black children around the country from getting free breakfast? Yes, it was him. And in the process, he hindered white kids from getting free meals. Statistically speaking, there are more white people on welfare and getting food stamps than black people are. 70 people involved with the Minnesota-based nonprofit Feeding Our Future, including its founder, have been charged in the matter, and more than a dozen have pleaded guilty or been convicted so far. In explaining her decision to issue a subpoena, Fox wrote that her panel has been unable to obtain substantive responsive materials in the many voluntary requests to Walz for materials. Fox also subpoenaed Minnesota Department of Education Commissioner Willie Jett, U.S. Agriculture Secretary Tim Vilsack, and Department of Agriculture Inspector General Phyllis Fung. See how well that works out for you. What does this have to do with Governor Tim Walz? How is he implicated directly into an alleged fraud scheme? How? There's no plausibility factor here, and they know it. This is all these people do: obstruct, come up with every phony type of scheme in an attempt to divert attention from their candidate, their failing candidate, their lagging candidate, their senile candidate, their old relic from the past candidate. And they know that this investigation is going nowhere, and they know that Governor Walz is not going to come and testify. And you can't make him. Now let's see how well that works out for you. A legislative audit found that the Minnesota Department of Education was ill-prepared to address the alleged fraud. Let's continue to investigate the January 6th insurrection. Failed to act on warning signs and did not properly investigate the accusations, AXIOS Tory Van Oot reported. In response to the report, Walz pointed out that no state employees have been implicated in the scheme, but acknowledged the State Department simply didn't do as much due diligence as they should have. Let's call it a mission. So how does that implicate the governor? Well, let's talk about all the fraudulent Republicans who are stealing money, kickbacks, schemes, accepting bribes. Let's talk about them. Let's talk about all the phony investigations that Jim Jordan has been conducting. And you can look at him and see the vitriol hatred inside of him, the bitterness. He looks like he's on drugs, to tell you the truth. Like he drinks alcohol all the time. These people seethe with rage in their hearts. They seethe with bitterness. They seethe with the ominous of revenge 24 hours a day. This was an appalling abuse of a federal COVID area program. A spokesperson for Walz told AXIOS. So Walz also argued that changes have been made in response to the scandal, including a new MDE, Inspector General, to probe fraud allegations. The State Department of Education worked diligently to stop fraud, and we're grateful to the FBI for working with the Department of Education to arrest and charge the individuals involved. Fox's subpoena comes after the House Oversight Committee opened an investigation into Walz's connections to China last month. What is it about these Republicans and demonizing the Democrats with China? They have a fascination for some reason. I wonder how many patents does the other side have with China? How much money have Republicans taken from undercover Chinese operatives? Now watch this. The oversight panel led by Representative James Comer, a Republican from Kentucky, has investigated Harris's role as the Biden administration point person on the sources of migration along the U.S.-Mexican border. And Jim Banks, a Republican from Indiana, has been probing Walz's military record over accusations that he inflated his rank and service record. That's an outright lie. Can't make this stuff up. Never surrender. Never quit.